How's everybody doing? Have you had a great day so far? It's been wonderful. So hello. Welcome to the DreamMachine gathering. This is super excited. We're so thrilled to be presenting this panel. I'm Kathleen Cohen, and for the last 30 years, I've been obsessed with XR and AI. Who wouldn't be? Maybe not 30, but I've been really interested in where strategy and research and the intersection of that and the arts merge. The name of my company is called the Collaboratorium. And I'm also the jury chair, if you have heard of it or been there, of the Araya Awards, as well as some of you have been here or been to the Arayas. I'm also in the Television Academy's Emerging Media Peer Group. I put this panel together, and I was super excited for so many reasons, but let's start with some basics. I just couldn't help but draft some notes about this. So while the general public and experts alike are debating whether or not AI is going to save or maybe doom humanity, it feels a bit last century to some of us. Because all of us here, even at this show, in this room, we're sitting at the forefront of bridging traditional art practices and emerging tech. And it's so key. I'm lucky enough right now, at this very pivotal time, to have met someone, Nona Hendryx herself, so much so, whose expression of art and music have integrated tech and new modes of communication long before it was commonplace. That's Nona Hendryx right here, who deserves this applause, whose DreamMachine reeled in a cultural institution's potential fear of irrelevance in an age of AI. DreamMachine became the first foray for Lincoln Center into immersive programming. I met Nona right after her residency at Lincoln Center last year and invited her to join me in January at Europa Park's Araya Awards. As a keynote speaker, Nona, along with Patrick Schumacher, the principal director of Zaha Hadid, which was phenomenal, the two of them, Nona accepted and brought her DreamMachine experience to a global audience, so I can tell you firsthand that you're in for a real treat. She's an unlikely face at the forefront of immersive media and extended reality, a woman bringing her own ancestral intelligence, living with the burden of her own Black genius, but generous enough to share her roadmap with all of us. So yeah, I wanted you, everybody here, to actually participate in meeting Nona as well. I personally see her influence everywhere, from David Bowie to Andre 3000 to how characters come alive in Wakanda. For 6 decades, she's been showing us what it means to be future ready. Working with Bina 48, the AI humanoid robot, alongside collaborators like George Clinton, Nicolene Thomas, Laurie Anderson, Vernon Reed, Skin of Skunk and Nancy, just to name a few, Nona knows exactly what she's doing. But what Nona didn't know was that she was unwittingly actually calling me home. For the past 10 years, on stages around the world, I've also been advocating for a tri-breed design, a design highlighting the transformation of spaces with the convergence of in real life, on a screen, and in world, all in parallel. Nona's pioneering of AfroFuturism embraces a vision for a life beyond limitations, even when racism and cynicism are rampant today. She understands that even when we have unbiased humanoids walking side by side with us, our creative strength will come from embracing our differences, not erasing them. At Lincoln Center, home of Juilliard, the Metropolitan Opera, the Film Society, and thanks to Mengtong and Sutu, have begun to demonstrate that traditional venues aren't museums of the past, but living laboratories of our future. So through collaboration across cultures and generations, they showed us something profound, that all of us are stronger together. The future of immersive experiences isn't what you'd expect. While tech leaders get the big headlines, the real visionaries look a little different. They're intergenerational. They're experimenting with new ideas, with new realms, and even new mediums. So there's power in knowing that you don't have all the answers anyway as you engage. The fact is that leaning into the unknown, that's what engagement's all about. We're not going to know how stages and screens in the future are going to evolve or where audiences are going to find them most compelling until we build them together, leaving room for the kind of collaboration that Nona herself, with her connection, her network, and all the things, have nurtured for decades. So my friend, the Cyborical, please watch.
the change that had happened in the country, in the world, and specifically in our world, there was no way of going back to being that fantasy. When we were the girl group Bluebells, we felt that we were being fake. And that's where we began the transition to LaBelle. I think LaBelle brought something completely different. I was interested in writing music about the future, writing music about space travel. So that also became a part of what it was that we were wearing. Larry Legaspi and a whole gaggle of gay guys who were very into a futuristic vision of fashion and design said, get rid of what you're wearing. It doesn't work. We have some better things, better ideas for you. Larry had a vision about how to bring this futuristic look to LaBelle.
That just happened about 4 years ago, when we changed our name and our everything. We saw that as Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells, we weren't going anyplace really. And after changing, we could see the change. It was very necessary.
But you seem, with your music, to really be taking us somewhere. I get the feeling that there's a lot more to it than the space clothes, and I think you're saying something. Am I tuned in?
The space clothes came about just by us being us. It wasn't an intention to put something, a facade up for people to look at.
Yeah, but don't you feel that you're part of the future?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, not in the sense of being in the future. We're present. We deal with what's going on now.
What we were wearing was ornamental and fun and creative, but it wasn't the reason for our being there on stage. The reason was to communicate. We could have this fantasy look, becoming these birds, these bird-like characters, but also say things like people of color are going to be in the future. People didn't know that that's what we were saying, but that's what we were saying.
And this is the evolution.
Do we see what we hope to find from a small blue light in the sea of time?
Okay, now you can give an applause of that evolution. I'm so happy to have Nona here with us, Mengtong and Sutu. Nona, would you start by giving a bit of an introduction of how DreamMachine came to be and just more about you that we'd like to know?
Thank you, Kathleen. I have to say thank you again, because otherwise we actually wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for you in introducing us to Sonia Haskins, the amazing Sonia, and also to Lincoln Center for Mengtong, who is replacing Jordana as a representative of Lincoln Center, who also have been so supportive. And also Sutu, thank you so much for, you'll see more of what Sutu has helped me and us create. But I think my story is so long. Those who don't have hair will grow hair, and some of those who have hair will lose hair for me to tell my entire story. But you saw the evolution in the video, and how I'm sitting here today is because I was about 10 years ago, I became an ambassador for Berklee College of Music, and they were interested in my working with the ensemble and the voice department and the music department, and I said I would do it if I can work with the electronic production department. And that's because as a child I was infected with science and science fiction, probably from the age of about 4 years old, and the idea of space travel probably from the age of about 8 or 9, when I saw my first spaceship on television, which is basically dangling from a string. And I just was like fascinated that this was this thing called a spaceship. And space travel and astronomy, astrology, all those things were attractive to me. And science classes, I love biology classes, I love psychology, and all those things were what I was attracted to. So I think all of that in terms of getting to DreamMachine come together for me. And I think the next step was when I got my first computer, an Atari, and began to play around with the computer and taking it apart as I take things apart, starting with my mother's television, which is not really a good idea. And then the Apple II was my next computer. And so I'm definitely aging myself in terms of what technology I was using. And within music, we were experimenting a lot with synthesizers, which was something that people in the beginning detested in the same way as were afraid of, in the same way as they're afraid of AI, that like synthesizers were going to take over music and music would no longer be human, and that would be the death of music. Now you hear nothing but synthesized music. And so I fell in love with the Mac system and began using it. I've had almost every Mac that I've owned over the years, and began to make music using Mac sequencer, ways of applications that I could sequence music, and just continued on and on and on as technology evolved. I evolved with it, integrated it into what it was that I was doing. And at Berklee, I began to focus on AR and then VR, and working with the students. We eventually developed a DreamMachine class, and one of the students, Nia Simone, who has been working with me ever since she graduated in 2023, I was able to work with students developing DreamMachine. It was called Digital Forest to begin with, and that was how I got to this particular iteration of DreamMachine, and meeting with Jordana at Lincoln Center and Mengtong and talking about their next summer for the city. They said, what would you like to do? Are you interested in something to do? And I said, well, I have this idea about a VR installation, an AR walk, and an in-person installation that is an Afro-futuristic garden for the first residency for African-American inspired AI, Bina 48. And they said, yeah, let's do that. And that's that's how DreamMachine came into existence.
I love it. It sounds so easy.
I know, it was not easy.
All right, Mengtong, then you can fill in the blanks.
Between yes, we'll do that, and behind the scene, how many people heard that word? We're going to do a DreamMachine. That's AR, VR, and installation in one of our public space. Everyone heard it, and I was like, what? What do you mean? What is that? I'll get into some introduction later, too. And we later in the presentation, we'll show everyone what those three-part experience means. But my name is Mengtong Guan. I was born in Beijing and grew up there. And I came to the States and started working in, I would say, a very traditional idea or sense of performing arts for about 11, 12 years before I met Nona and worked on the DreamMachine project. And I had my own journey of, what are we doing? and then to, oh, this is what we're doing, and this is the experience we're providing for people. So before DreamMachine, I was working on a lot of traditional performances. That means as a presenter or performing arts institution, people put performances on the stage. But similarly, it's about providing an experience. It's about providing support for artists to create the content to the depths and the kind of the breadth that the artist is looking to be able to deliver for people, which is very similar to when a creator is doing, say, a digital content or a VR experience or an AR experience. But then for Lincoln Center in the past, I would say, especially after DreamMachine experience, to take it as a launch pad to do more of the engagement in all the new media realm and presenting these works as at the same level and at the same time with the more traditional formats of the content. It's very important.
Yeah, it's so good.
And we'll get into more details
We're
later.
going to get into more details. Sutu.
Hey, I'm Sutu. I'm an artist and co-founder of EyeJack, immersive art and technology company. I'm from Tasmania. Kind of growing up in the 90s, kind of got onto the internet, and that was what exposed me to the rest of the world and this interest to want to discover the world, and also to the idea of, browsing and absorbing information via little snippets of video and audio and clicking. And that sort of created the framework for what would become like interactive design. So I was making interactive comics, and I migrated to augmented reality comics and virtual reality experiences and everything in between in this XR space. I think a good friend of mine, Lady Phoenix, fantastic fellow Afrofuturist and collaborator, introduced me to Nona. I'd done work, some work for like The Weeknd and John Legend in the virtual concert sort of space, and also had done a memorial for Breonna Taylor's family in the AR XR space as well, and that kind of was the foundation for that conversation to start, I believe. And Nona hit me up just to create an avatar for her, and that went down pretty good. And then she said, "Can you create 5 more avatars for me?" And then it went on to, "And can you create 16 virtual worlds?" So it was like a dream project for our team, a very small team, and and then to hear who those worlds were for, like George Clinton and Laurie Anderson and Skin and everybody, I couldn't have been happier. But it was also like a fantastic discovery for me. Just I love to get into those backstories. So being able to talk to George Clinton about his interests, and him saying like Roswell and the sighting of the spaceships and this type of stuff. I was like, oh right, yeah, okay, that makes sense now. So anyway, being able to create on the backbone of that type of legacy is just such an honor. So
we talked on, I don't know, some time ago, and just distilling this whole project really came down to explaining that it was really 3 expressions: the VR, the AR expression, and like you were saying, Mengtong, the physical expression. Maybe Sutu, you can walk us through, and Nona, all of you, just sort of talk a little bit about this, and then we can move on and go through VR first.
Okay, I'll start. I laid out a proposal for Lincoln Center with my, I can't remember which one, keynote or something about what it was that I wanted to do. And it started in the atrium because there were 3 spaces that I wanted to engage with. And the atrium was to be turned into an Afro-future garden. Then there was going to be a bridge around the plaza of Lincoln Center, which is quite large, taking you on a walk, AR walk, which was led by my character, Cyberacle, who's a cyber oracle. And once you passed around the plaza, you would then enter the David Geffen Hall, and inside there's something called the Sidewalk Studio, and that's where we would have the VR experience, which is a 16 worlds and 5 avatar experience that Sutu was just talking about. And the AR and the VR had its own challenges because we were collaborating with the artists who are the performers. George Clinton, not an easy one to nail down and and talk to, but it was interesting. I said recently I spent 2 days in Tallahassee with George at his house and watching the Elvis animation shows, and that's basically what we did, and talked and watched his chickens run around, you know, eating his leftover weed that he had dropped around. And George and I were painting together, and he has this, you know, full organ in his living room, a wall pipe organ. So that was interesting. I found out some things about George I didn't know, and then Sutu and I also would talk with George on Zoom, or, you know, mostly on Zoom, finding out what type of world George wanted to have designed. And we did that with each artist, but George wanted a world that was based on.
I just wanted to say that, like, his first entry point was that he wanted his avatar to just be a walking booty. I was like, does it have arms? Or, like, does it have a face? He's like, no, just a booty.
That's true.
We can show a little bit, but not that.
Yeah.
Yes. But yes, he wanted his, yes. Are we going? We'll continue talking. Yes, he wanted his avatar to be a booty, but we talked him out of that and talked him into this amazing. You'll see his avatar later is a Dogon village tribesman on stilts that grows and can shrink, and his head grows. And his experiences in the crown experience is George is in the sky. He's beamed in from the mothership, and George is in the sky. And we said, George, will you write some new music? Because all of the artists were creating new music for the project's collaboration. And George, we thought he was going to send something like, tear the roof off the sucker, tear the roof off the sucker. He sent us a track where he is doing a spoken word about the dope dog, this dope sniffing dog. Because he also have a lot of dogs in his experience as well, because he loves, that's George's treat. Now that's, you're seeing all the,
You're seeing all of the different artists, because we couldn't just sit and profile each one.
Yes, this is Laurie Anderson's. That's Vernon Reed with his guitar. That's George. That's Skin. And that's Bina 48. And that's me. And these are the worlds that Sutu created, based on the information and sharing with the different artists about what they wanted their world to look like. And which is really fun, actually, working with the artists to create these worlds for them.
Yeah, it's like each of the worlds were so different, because they came from, everyone had their own backstory and their own sort of influence. So like the Dogon tribe went down a rabbit hole, sort of learning about the Dogon people and their outfits and what they meant. And we had also there's the creative side and there's the technical side. Like we talked to, like, is it practical to get George into a mocap suit? And it was like, we proposed, like, we could, tap some of these awesome Harlem contemporary dancers, which is what we ended up doing. But we definitely want your presence in there, and that's where we came up with the idea of projecting in the sky as a hologram, and that he's kind of like communicating to this contemporary dancer that's on stilts. And then just to work with Patrick, the dancer, who's like, that's what was one of my favorite days, like, because his body is incredible, like just the way that he's able to move and anticipate the movement of like moving on stilts. And then, like Nona said, when we were expecting George to come up with a funk track, but then he does this like noir spoken word, kind of really contemporary performance, which we all heard it on the day that we were doing the mocap, and we were like, oh. And I was like, wait, this is fucking amazing. This is going to be so immersive. Like, it's like, it was such an awesome format for like a more intimate, immersive experience. And then when you combined it with like the Dogon tribe sort of setting, it's like, it became kind of like you're standing around this futuristic campfire. And he's this, overseeing kind of ghostly figure in the sky that's telling you this crazy story. I was like, this is coming together so good. And then Patrick just like zoned into the character.
Well,
and then,
I was just going to say, talk a little bit about the AR side.
Yes, I was going to.
How that dovetails as well.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I mean, let's just go right into the video of it, and then
Yes.
we can just get a vibe on that.
Yes. So this is me, my other avatar, Cyborg 2. And we also wanted to make sure that we recognize the land upon which we were on. So George Gillette, who is the grandson of one of the famous Native American chiefs, came and we did motion capture with him and his father, who has a recording label for Native American drummers. They created the music, and we used a poem from a very famous Lenape poet that was spoken over so the first AR activation you see, Act 1, is a Native American Lenape dance and ceremonial poem and music that was so it was a Native American activation. So the next thing is the ballerina. We wanted to recognize the black ballerinas for the American canon of ballet, and right there at the New York Ballet facility, we created we had a ballerina come to motion capture. She did Francesca Harper from the Alvin Ailey School. She's director of the second company. She choreographed a movement from Swan Lake to Firebird and Nutcracker, I forget the name of the Sugar Plum Fairy. And so you see this black ballerina go very quickly through these different movements where you've had African-American ballet dancers in principal roles. Then there was a journey telling the story of San Juan Hill, which was the place that 7,000 people were displaced to build Lincoln Center. So it was important to recognize the people who had been there before and who some of their descendants lived in the facility, the housing behind Lincoln Center. And so we told that story from the images of the destruction of the place to the current time when it was recognized for Thelonious Monk as an American musician, amazing musician who lived in San Juan Hill, and some of the amazing artists Zora Neale Hurston, different people who lived there. Then we took you around to the Metropolitan Opera House.
I was just going to say, let's show a little behind the scenes,
Yes.
just to give some context here.
Yes. So yeah, we can keep talking amongst ourselves as we're showing this. That's the day that we were doing motion capture Zero Space. And the DreamMachine is a modular, immersive experience that will be at Lincoln Center in June 2024. It is an AI, AR, VR experiences in which you could either enjoy all three or you can enjoy one at a time. It will be there for about 18 days starting in June 2024. The DreamMachine is a lot of different dreams that happen and almost sort of like being in parallel worlds. And that's kind of what the DreamMachine is about. Those are the collaborators: George Petkin, Vernon Reed from Living Color, Skin from Stunk and Nancy, Laurie Anderson, Nicolene Thomas, Lucy, working with students from Berklee College of Music, the Willie Mae Rock Camp, Willie Mae Future Sound, working with LaFrey Psy and the young people there to bring them into the conversation of technology and music and art. In a dream, you can pass through many worlds many times. Cyborgal is the culmination of all this, this desire to be cyborg and being able to deliver messages. So that's the cyber oracle, and so cyborgal. And that's my avatar. That's my in the digital world, in the VR world. That's who I am.
Love it. Love that. It's so good to see behind the scenes.
and I'll just add, like, there was a moment there where Skin was like looking at the camera which was tracking her face movements, and she was loving it, and she really exaggerated all her singing and her facial performance. And she's got a massive mouth, you know, a fantastic mouth, and was like, oh wow, you know, can we just like also just have your mouth, like clones of your mouth just flying around the environment as well? And so we made a lot of creative...
In the VR, in the crown.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
We had a lot of creative decisions were kind of made on the fly in response to people's performances, which is what's so fun about when people are using the technology, responding to the tech in real time, seeing themselves in the virtual environment in real time, and then kind of role playing. I was like, well, what if I do this? What if I do that? And then it's like, then you kind of create this new type of hybrid performance, which I feel like is, you know, a special formula in this sort of XR realm.
I just keep seeing Skin's mouth and George Clinton's booty flying across the screen. What would have happened? Anyway, Mengtong, this is all you.
And I have to also add to that, and the days that the artists actually came to the Sidewalk Studio and experienced the VR themselves.
Yeah.
And when they were enjoying so much of their own avatars watching in the VR, they were like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So I think to add to all those creative process and the content, what challenges, I wouldn't say bad challenge, it's always good challenges that it brought to Lincoln Center was also physically, we are still a space. We still need to deliver it. I remember many times on the phone call with Nona deciding on, okay, how many tables do we need for the VR? What kind of chairs? How to create an environment that has the lighting, has the kind of the guest experience process that we're providing. So everyone is coming and being invited physically also, because we're still in this physical world. If we're all in the virtual world, it would be a different story. But in this physical world, how being invited into the space. So I would say the Atrium is actually called David Rubenstein Atrium. This is a perfect example that was completely transformed physically also to be part of the DreamMachine experience. And we were talking about if it's an activation, is it installation. So for Lincoln Center, this is one of the first time that we have done an installation in this physical space. If you want to see the next little swap. So with our DreamMachine, this is how it looks. It's a public space. It's not 24/7, but it's like 365 days a year. It's open to the public. Every week we have 1 or 2, sometimes 3 free performances. But DreamMachine with Nona and also the design of Kathleen Thomas, we had how many tons of fabrics that just wrapped it completely around into this world.
You said last night that you carpeted also.
We carpeted with purple carpeting. At
Yeah.
first, we thought it would be like some kind of a false grass.
Yes, yes. We were going to go with turf. We were trying to find purple turf, so it would feel like grass. We were trying to create this garden.
Isn't there a football field with purple turf, or it's blue? It's blue. There's a blue football field with blue. I mean, yeah.
Well,
anyway, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, maybe
We
they could
ended
jump
up
in.
with carpet because I don't know why we couldn't find the turf that we wanted to use. Or
There was
something.
not perfect. There was no
Yes.
perfect turf, so we decided
Yes.
to carpet it so people can actually. The most joyful thing was also because if you see that photo before, it's like there are marble benches. That's actually not so welcoming, but with DreamMachine, we saw children just lying on the bench for the entire afternoon when there is no activity going around. So the space itself actually turned into something that's so much more welcoming and part of DreamMachine and kind of an invitation for people to experience it. And it's so purple for the whole month.
Yes. And then there's also, this was the home for Bina 48, the AI, and to be in residence. And Mengtong and myself and Mia and several other people, we programmed different interactions with Bina 48 for those 3 weeks, from choreographers, spoken word artists, children who created music to work with Bina 48. We had our first AI beatbox moment happening. Bina 48 was going
Boots and Cats.
Boots and Cats.
My kid still talks, sings Boots and Cats.
And working with a percussionist from Willie Mae Rock Camp, La Frayside, we did a performance. Bina 48 also used a form of dance choreography language to create choreography with the choreographer, and the dancers would then perform the choreography that Bina 48 had designed in collaboration with Francesca Harper. It was, I don't know, it was insane, actually.
Yeah.
It was an insane thing that we did, but it was wonderful to have the people, the public, come in and be a part of it, engage with us, with different schools, Brown University, the New School, NYU, professors, teachers, scholars coming and engaging with each other about AI specifically and why we should not be afraid of it.
This is Bina 48 behind you, right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Mengtong Guan and Nona and Bina 48.
And these are the artists who...
These are all the artists that we collaborated and presented as part of 3 weeks complete transformation in the atrium with DreamMachine. So every evening, during the day, the atrium is an installation of DreamMachine garden, Bina 48's garden, and in the evening, we will sometimes have one or two events that's presenting these partners who brought, including music, like what Nona was sharing about their music, their dance. There are also live sharing of a VR headset showing what's kind of a, I remember one of the program was a VR world that was created for Bina 48.
Yes.
And a sound installation that was done by the students from the new school.
Yes.
So many different projects. I can't believe, Nona, you were doing all those creation of the AR and VR world and also curated with all these artists for 18 events.
I must have, lost my mind or something. I don't know. But
Yeah.
it was an intense 2 years of my life, probably about 2 years, I think. But the wonderful thing was seeing people and how they were responding to it. From 9-year-olds to 90-year-olds in the VR, every age group coming into the atrium, including Sutu's
3-year-old.
Yes,
or
young
2-year-old
boy.
at the time.
Yes, and just that kind of engagement, because it really was about welcoming and bringing people into what was considered a very highbrow institution like Lincoln Center and ballet and opera and the New York Philharmonic, and but then you had this other energy that was happening on the campus, and I think it has spilled over into this summer as well. Yes.
Yes. So I would say ever since, and of course while DreamMachine was happening, we were also dreaming to continue how inviting this environment is. So Lincoln Center, and at the same time from 2022, when we were dreaming together about DreamMachine, Lincoln Center has been doing all free and choose what you pay ticket performances. So DreamMachine, the only choose what you pay experiences, the VR experience and the AR and both, and the activations in the atrium are all free. And the choose what you pay was mostly because we think people come all the way, they should make a reservation so it's easier for them people actually.
And we wanted to be able to have timed experiences so that people would come and make it, rather than having just people show up and then selecting people once they were there. So it really helped, and I think it was like $5 or something.
It was $5.
$5 too. But the thing in terms of also working with students from Berkeley College of Music, but also some of the students from the Martin Luther King campus, from the middle school and high school. We had one semester long, every Monday, working with 2 professors from Berkeley, NYU, and another young woman working with these students, and the students at the end, they then performed in the atrium and were able to have their parents come and see the music, the sound design that they created for the AfroFuture Garden.
Last night we were talking about the reach and why this is so important. From the marketing side, it's about activations. From the artistic side, it's installations. From the experience design side, it's experiences. But what this clearly says is immersive is here, and people are preparing for it. So you guys have really led the path on big cultural institutions taking a big risk and investing, and now, because you piloted this, like a toolkit for how people can move this forward. Because this is really impressive. And, you know, from your point of view, Sutu, from your point of view, to have this kind of reaction, and I know you're continuing to do work, Sutu, with Lincoln Center because of it.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, we're very fortunate to keep that conversation going with Lincoln Center. What Mengtong mentioned at the start was like, how can we create immersive programming that is on the same sort of bar as the ballet and the opera, and educate the public on understanding that when they go to the Lincoln Center Plaza, they can look up, oh, hey, what's in the immersive programming this weekend? And that just becomes the norm. So we're trying to establish that sort of new mindset. And in doing that, we've got a residency that's year-long. We've got 3 sets of experiences. There's an activation in collaboration with the New York Public Library that's live right now, and that's where we brought fantastic videos from the dance archives out and recreated them, reimagined them as sort of augmented reality holograms that are floating around the plaza. And June 12th, we have a immersive painting that's mapped to the side of the net, created by Miles Regis, Trinidadian LA-based traditional painter, and I taught him how to paint in VR, and I brought in the model of the Lincoln Center Plaza so he could paint directly over the top of it, and now that's like 4 stories high, and you can walk through his painting. That's going to be up there for the whole Summer in the City Festival.
That one actually, if anybody's been to New York during the holidays and has seen the projection mapping all by Rockefeller Center, you're putting that to shame. Yeah. What I just saw in the room, it looks fantastic. It's so good.
That's a really wild one. And then later on in the year, we'll have a collaboration with Mahogany Brown, the poet, and you'll be able to walk through her poem that will react to you as you kind of move through it. And that will be like walking through large typography and illustrations and stuff.
Yeah, and that's from October to next year in February. And I would say the creative process, how in-depth the integration between the technology that's AR design and how the artists are imagining their work to be reimagined through the AR has been the process that I think for Lincoln Center to also learn. For example, these are the moments we need to do a mapping do a rescanning of this campus because certain elements on the campus are changing, or, this is the daylight, so how we are advertising and inviting the audience to know, okay, this after dark hour, you might not be able to see it on your phone very clearly. So a lot of small details, how we are also taking in and then learn how to do the projects in the future.
Doesn't Mengtong sound awesome? You know, she hadn't done any XR, and she's like, I'll go help with the mapping, I'll go help with the AR testing, I'll get in the VR, I'll help onboard the people. So Mengtong's actually across it all.
She was one of the first who wanted to talk to Bina 48.
Yeah.
So it's like, does anybody want to talk to Bina 48 from Lincoln Center? She's like, I'll talk to Bina 48. I have you on video talking to Bina 48.
I mean, these projects don't get done without awesome people, like these 2 in particular. Nona is like this beacon of energy. So you mentioned like the energy that was on the campus. Nona, like throughout the whole project, has this incredible capacity to be able to coordinate just hundreds of people to be able to pull off a production of this scale. But then I'll be in my habit over here in LA sending off my end of day notes at like 11 p.m. or whatever. And I'll get a reply on WhatsApp from Nona. Hey, can we just talk about this? It's like, it's 2 a.m. in New York, and this was constant. I was like, the lady doesn't sleep. It's wild.
I had the same experience. You really give it for everybody. I mean, you do. It's so good. We wanted to give you all an option to do a Q&A and give a little time. So we have about 10 minutes, and I know there's a mic somewhere in the room that can get passed to you. But I think it would be fun to hear from the audience. And just before you ask your question, one thing, Sutu, Mengtong, and Nona, are you all available for people here in the room that might want to engage, ask you more questions about working together? How do you get involved with a cultural institution? How do you get involved with a world-class creative technologist? How do you get involved with a world-class human being? So I just want to put it out there that if you're all open.
Yes. And we actually have a couple of headsets here with the experience on it, if people want to have a quick peek inside.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
First question. Yes.
Hi, my name is Marianne. This was amazing and it looks fantastic. I wanted to know, using XR, living right now in this age of XR, AI, technology and creative technology that is constantly shifting, what do you see as like the evolution of Afrofuturism specifically within these media?
I think, it's sort of, Afrofuturism has been around, Afrofuturists have existed, but I don't think it's had the opportunity until now to actually have what the word is, Afrofuture, the past and the present come together in a way that you can actually experience it, as opposed to read about it, hear about it. The only way you could experience it in the past was through the music and some visuals, but primarily, unless you were seeking to engage with something that said to you Afrofuturism, that was your, but now you're going to be able to, the more creators like myself and some of the other people that I know who are developing, specifically from that aesthetic, from that place, you'll be able to immersively be in it and feel it and hear it. The sound, the visual, the engagement, getting into haptics is going to also make a difference because you're going to be able to engage with something that is an ancient object, 3D generated object that has a certain vibration, right? And it's going to vibrate and it's going to make you feel differently by being able to engage with it that way. That for me is when we get, like full haptic ability in VR and AR. That's going to be such a change, and that's where I see Afrofuturism having connecting the sound to the object to the feeling.
I would add on that the full multimodal experience, and that is how we feel in an environment. And what does that feel for each person? And there's so many ways here so many places on the show floor to experience that in different segments, but the stitching it of all of it together in real life, on a screen, in world, everything that you've been doing, it's like we're just in the beginning. It's exciting.
If you can imagine being, instead of watching Wakanda, being in Wakanda.
Yeah.
Yes, that experience.
Is there another question?
Yes.
Let me go next. So my question really is, this is a massive project involving lots and lots of people. The financial resources, how did all of that come together to produce this and all of the kind of collaborations and affiliations?
Well, I had the idea, and
we have teams fundraising for it.
Yes, and it started with a friend of mine. Her name is Joanne Chase. She knew someone at the George Soros Foundation. She introduced me to Alvin Starks. We had lunch. Alvin was a fan, so he bought some of my albums for me to sign. And I said, I'll sign them if.
Leverage.
So he gave us some of the first money to support the project. And Jordana, then after talking about doing this, we met with someone at the Mellon Foundation. So all of the money for the creation of the project came from grants from foundations. The Mellon Foundation, I went to meet with them, not expecting them to give me a grant. Emil Kang, who's an amazing person, said, I really think this is amazing what you want to do. And so I had that grant, and then I met someone, we were just to Ashley at Ford, at Duke, and the Doris Duke Foundation gave us money, and then the Ford Foundation. So you get one foundation, you might get, the others come in, and then Lincoln Center had to.
Yeah, we also had foundations and corporations that donated to this. I think MetLife, Goldman Sachs, 100 Women, many of them. So I would say Nona has a team that work for fundraising, and then Lincoln Center's fundraising team actively. We have a special fund that's dedicated to DreamMachine, and we share costs.
That makes sense. You need really committed, charismatic people leading fundraising.
Yes, yes. I mean, in total, it was about $3 million for DreamMachine in total.
That does not seem like a big budget to me for what you pulled off.
Yeah. Thank you, Michaela. Another question?
Yes. Given the sort of
the mic's coming down.
Ephemeral,
you have a mic.
I have a mic. Ephemeral nature of digital content not being embodied in something physical. Sounds like so much beautiful work that was done. What is being done to retain it so that people in the future can continue to experience it?
Yeah, it's, I'm just beginning in September at Dartmouth College, and they want to bring DreamMachine to Dartmouth because they built their own sort of smaller version of Lincoln Center, and they have a new innovation space called the Hopkins Center. So DreamMachine 2.0, which will bring in some DreamMachine, the original. There are, I'm in conversation with other entities about how to use some of the, specifically the 3D models that we've created, the worlds that we've created. The worlds for the artists, this is about being able to talk to artists about how do they future-proof themselves so that they do not disappear, because there's so many musicians that I know and artists who have gone, and a lot of who they are and what they are was not captured or preserved. And this is also, what you're talking about is really a lot of what inspired me to do the VR experiences, was to be able to show artists or share with artists or give artists a tool to preserve themselves and their legacy.
Which just to add on to that, we were talking, this isn't about a documentary of the artist and just doing a very linear documentary of an artist's journey. It's a full experiential of an artist, and being able to have artists leave that and have that as an imprint for next generations, which I think we all are trying to explore.
I'll just add on a technical standpoint, Nona made it clear from the beginning that she wanted this to be available on the web. So it is actually a WebXR experience. It was a total grind to get it all working in the browser, but that's so it could be more accessible, and that we wouldn't be dependent on a silo or on a platform to have to continuously maintain the experience.
That's the next thing.
It's under Nona's discretion, so rather than just
we will release it on the web. We're just
we're going through the festival circuit,
yes,
all of that right now.
Hi there. My name is Gregory Canos with the Persona Foundation, and I have expertise in human asset development and recovery for the purpose of virtual immortality. So the work that you're talking about for performers and cultural figures that have passed away is where I've been focusing for 20 years, and I'd be happy to work with any of you people in the creative realm and help you map out a future where we can put together simple workflows and pipelines so people can take the initiative to do some of their own life documentation work, including volumetric, motion capture, facial capture, and using AI to clean up and fine-tune the materials into a generalized format that a place like Dartmouth and other institutions can input into their archival system for preservation of not only just the projects, but for the development of additional add-on materials for some of these people who may not have lived beyond their initial ambitions to do this kind of thing. I'm giving a talk tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
That's awesome, Greg.
Thank you. With a little bit of some demos. So.
Greg is also an XR Hall of Famer, so he knows his stuff.
Yes.
And I think we're at the end. I know that everybody is available here for more questions, but I want to say one thing. I asked Nona, how many years ago were you considering or thinking about immersive worlds? And when did that start? Was it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Like I started, I've been in this for 30 years. Nona said 1989. I'm doing the math. That's 36 years ago, long before my career. And it's just so impressive. So if everybody could give a round of applause to Nona, to Mengtong, to Sutu for what they pulled off with their entire team. Thank you so much. It's a joy to be here.
Thank you, Kathleen.
You're so welcome.
We could not have asked for a better moderator.
Oh, you're so
yes,
kind.
Thank you.
You're so kind.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.